of the farm. You cannot sow something today and reap tomorrow. A seed has to go through various seasons before it turns into a fully blown tree. So is the case with investments.
Today we'll be looking at the e-commerce space, and within that specifically look at logistics as a backend to the e-commerce activity. And we'll be looking at UPS in detail. It's one of the positions that we have in our fund, and some people who are asking us to what is the logic behind investing in UPS. So Raunak will be discussing this space, and he's the person who's going to be presenting today. Raunak. Yeah, Raunak is part of our equities team. He heads the research activity at PPFAS.
Thank you. I welcome everyone. So retailing as a concept is not something new. You understand it very easily. You figure out, go to a store, buy products. But when you actually get to run and grow a retail business, it's quite a job. I mean, even a small store, if you want to add a new category to it, it requires a lot of planning with the distributors, a lot of planning with the vendor, the supplier, and make sure that the product is visible in a particular way that the vendor wants. So retail, no matter how easy it seems, it's a very difficult job. The traditional brick and mortar retail has been there for a while. It's one of the oldest professions that we know. And over a period of the past 50-60 years, as technology has helped the retail industry come up with different formats, come up with different ways to approach the same business and reinvent themselves every time. So some companies have been ahead, some companies fell back. You saw a lot of retailers go out of business, some became giants like Walmart, which is a $250 billion company right now. But the old ways are slowly changing, and the sand is so-called shifting under their feet. So all the people in this room, I mean, we are a relatively older crowd, if you see, and we may have seen some dramatic changes happen in our day-to-day lives for the past 50 years or 40 years, 30 years, as long as you have been here. We have seen the electronics revolution, we have seen the telecom revolution, and we have seen the internet change the way we do our day-to-day activities. But 21st century has done something very different. Whereas our world has shrunk in the 20th century, 21st century has actually made us apply the shrinking world concept and use it to modify our day-to-day activities. So we have begun to apply this new form of communication to very traditional aspects. For example, retail. So the user has seen an evolution over a period of time, and every time the technology has shifted, the user has followed. Now the user demands latest technology. People used to read newspapers and books in the train. Now they are busy on their mobile phones. The user demands today's news yesterday. And what the TV and radio business did to newspapers, where they brought the currency of news to the day-to-day life of people, the app world, or whatever apps we use for accessing our news items, is doing that same thing to TV, radio, and newspaper business, all over again. The user is much more connected and has found different ways of expressing himself, and also getting other people's expressions and opinions to understand what he wants. So, I always come to the question, despite all this technological innovation, why do people still end up doing this? I mean, this is the launch of an Apple product, and there are people selling the spot. They have been sitting there and spotting here for the past few days, and they are now selling this spot on eBay. So, is this what retail has become? Or is this what retail has become? This is the Thanksgiving opening day, when the store opens for the biggest discount season in the US. And this is the way people get in. It's like a huge concert and people standing outside waiting for the doors to open, and they crush each other, you don't care about their kids, just go in. And all you have to do is this. Just sit at your home, relax, sip some green tea, and buy whatever you want online. So none of us can deny that this trend is shifting online slowly and steadily, user by user. So this is a very old survey, I think a 5-year-old survey, but I think all these points still apply to us. The shop is open 24 hours a day. Which mall is open 24 hours a day? It saves a lot of time. No driving, no parking, no paying fines, no nothing. You can avoid the crowds, no standing in the queue. You can save gas, of course. Discount promotions right on the inbox or right in your mobile phone. Always low prices. Amazon is competing with everybody else to keep on decreasing the prices for everyone. You can compare what you want to buy. So you don't like on one store, go to some other store and see if they are offering the same thing at a lower price. You get a variety which you may not get in the store. Then you have to walk hundreds of miles of aisles just to find what the product you are looking for. Product information is not easily available. The store clerk may not be around you. But online, just Google it, you'll find it. And items are always in stock. Now the user is not just in his home. He's traveling, he's more connected now because of his mobile devices. So what was just used for making a phone call is now being used for doing many more things. And the retailers have not caught on to this trend, the traditional brick and mortar retailers. So imagine, say Jabong or a Myntra sends an email to you one day. Okay? There's a sale on shirts. So even if you're not looking for a shirt right now, in your mind is there. And all you have to do is just open that email or just access your Jabong app. Just go to the Jabong website, spend 5 seconds and figure out, is this shirt what I'm looking for? Is it can buy in the future or not? But imagine the same brand, if it wants to tap the same user on their brick and mortar format, they actually have to get this person to the store in order to show him their latest collection or the latest sale. So retailers have dropped the ball in that sense. For the longest time, the trend in the retail industry was to go from a small mom and pop store to a multi-format hypermarket kind of a store, where the user will automatically navigate based on whatever directions are mentioned and he will pick up whatever he wants to pick. And it becomes confusing for a lot of users. But that has been the accepted norm and people have went ahead with it. And that's still true. I mean, we have these big shopping aisles, we have these 10 feet products lying in front of you. And also, it's true online. I don't know any brick and mortar store which can actually claim that they are the earth's biggest selection of products. Amazon does that. It outdoes itself every time. I don't know if you hire someone to just count the number of categories every day, probably they are adding one category each day. This page is actually quite big. I just focused on the small part just to illustrate the earth's biggest selection kind. So what is happening is that across the nation, across the world, may it be a developed market, may it be a developing market, everywhere this e-commerce trend is catching up. But I would like to specifically focus on the US market. The US market has some very exciting characteristics for just to understand the e-commerce space. So if we take a look at the US market for the past 10 years, the blue line signifies traditional retail sales and the orange line shows the e-commerce sales. The trajectory of the graph is enough for us to understand why the e-commerce trend is active. But why the US markets? So in the US market, this trend is established for the past 15 to 20 years. In India, the credit card usage is not as high as it was in the US. So in the 70s and the 80s.
Just one more question.
Yes, sure.
So are you saying that e-commerce is $5 trillion in the US?
No. This side is called the traditional retail, and the other side of the graph is called the e-commerce sales.
Oh.
So e-commerce is $300 billion
Alright.
versus I think about $3.5. Yeah.
4.4 trillion.
That is the overall retail space.
I know.
This is just the traditional retail space. Yeah. So credit card usage is something that they take for granted. So cash is something that you don't use. And if you have that kind of infrastructure already set up for you, you don't have to do too much. You just have to get that credit card number on your website and you start selling to the person next instant. The internet penetration in the US is probably equal to what it is in India. So if you go by the numbers that are available online, you will see that 300 million Americans access the internet and the same number is for Indians. But the difference is not just the access to internet, but the actual population transacting on the e-commerce website. So this next graph is actually a very interesting graph. So if you see US market over here, the percent of population that shops online is 55%. Out of 300 million people, out of 500 million people, total population of the US, nearly half of that shops online. In India, we have 300 million people accessing the internet. Around 90 million people visit e-commerce stores or e-commerce sites, and only 15 million people actually transact. Now, if you look at the percent of population terms, it's barely 2% of the entire population. So, with that kind of a economic advantage already set in, all the e-commerce companies have to do is open their store, make sure they are visible, get users' credit card numbers, get them addicted to your website. So the MD of eBay India illustrates the exact same point. So he says that people have credit cards and the market have gone through TV shopping, catalog shopping, etc. In India, this is all new. In India, we still expect that somebody will come to your house and you will pay cash. That restricts the ability of the e-commerce space to actually tap into the vast potential of how much they can sell. And when it comes to understanding the e-commerce space vis-a-vis the overall retail space, the penetration of e-commerce is barely 6%, not even 10%, and this is a 20-year-old trend. Imagine 10 years ago it was barely 2%, and who knows where it will go. I like to illustrate Amazon for a while. Amazon is the big daddy of e-commerce. It came in storming and is still storming all the gates as it goes ahead. Every category it goes into, it destroys all the players who are already selling niche products online. So Amazon, as a percentage of the total e-commerce market, is about a third, which is a significant amount. They make $75 billion of sales out of 300 billion. They are a third of the e-commerce space. But look at the last line, the line at the bottom. Amazon as a percentage of the overall retail market. Again, not even a blip on the radar of the retail industry. But yet, Amazon is giving a tough competition to all the traditional retail players, including the Walmarts of the world, the Best Buys of the world. And they have also been responsible for shutting down several business models, like Tower Records. I don't know anybody who have heard that name, but if you read business history, you will see it lying somewhere in the cemetery. But Amazon is not alone. So, Walmart is trying very hard to break into the e-commerce space. Best Buy, the electronic gadget company, is also trying to break into the electronic space. But Amazon has dominated so far. Gap, JCPenney, Wayfair, the furniture retail store, all of them have now opened up their e-commerce websites and they are trying to experiment the same things with their traditional warehouses and their traditional retail model and making those same products accessible to the customers online. This might be dated now because Alibaba is not here. So this is basically comparing how the new retail compares to the old guard of retail in terms of market cap. The names are not important. The red one is Amazon, the green one is eBay, the smaller blue one is Rakuten, the Japanese electronics company, and there can be Alibaba, which will not fit in this slide.
Alibaba will be never running equal to all that.
Won't fit in this slide, I have not mentioned it. So imagine, so if you look at the market cap wise, the old guard is actually now seeing the new retail companies coming neck to neck. When they were by their knees, they didn't pay attention, but now they're at the shoulder, they have to pay attention.
Considering that the sale of e-commerce is so small compared to retail, why the market cap is so heavy?
Because
Why it's so high? It's ridiculously high.
It is. The reason for that is Amazon has been growing at 30+% year on year for the past 10 years or 15 years. And that kind of growth is possible in the future. And that is the belief people have in the product and the person who is running the company. And I don't know how to justify it, honestly. I have just seen this company as an illustrative point as to what is actually happening in this space. And does it even merit our attention?
See, the big daddy in retail sale is Walmart.
Yes.
So what is their growth per year?
Traditional retail will grow around 5% a year,
That's-
and e-commerce is growing 30%. there are several other business models which other companies are trying. Like Gap has the most successful online apparel store after Amazon. But they are all small. I mean, when you see Amazon, they have washed everything out. I mean, the attention is gone to Amazon. People are already clued in. People don't want to give the credit card again to a Gap. It's just the legacy awareness of the brand. Now all Gap has to do is probably sell on Amazon. And it's Gap. This graph indicates the number of unique visitors per month in millions. So, I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, Amazon gets 164 million unique visitors per month. eBay is the distant second, and surprising third is Apple. Apple's online websites get 90 million users per month, unique visitors. They may not buy, but still, it's a significant amount, much better than Walmart. So all these traditional retail stores are catching up in a way to develop their e-commerce platforms. And again, like I said, it's a multi-channel engagement. So Amazon has a mobile app, Amazon has a website which people are used to navigating now. And Amazon has these discount offers which keeps on bombarding your email. And they have an analytics platform which identifies what you have bought before, what you may buy later, what are your tastes. It stops you basically to sell you something. I won't say that because you won't do this. But all this should make us wonder what are people actually buying on these sites, you know? So the biggest categories that people are buying online are consumer electronics. Then there is books, which I think also includes other media. Then we have clothing and apparel. And you know, for a long time, clothing and apparel was like the dark art of retail. And people who could stock the inventory with the latest trends of clothes, they'll sell the most amount of clothes. But somehow, because of the e-commerce models, where you can have just-in-time inventories and you can squeeze your vendors like Walmart used to squeeze their vendors. Amazon and other big guys are actually able to sell their clothes and apparel categories at a limited speed. The surprising part over here is the food and groceries. People are actually buying milk and tomatoes and potatoes online. It's very surprising. And luxury goods. I mean, I never thought luxury goods would be a category that people would like to buy online. When you go to a store, it's all about the experience. You know, you go there, they pamper you, they treat you well. But yet these categories are coming online, and I don't know what's going to happen. And this is one of my favorite charts, and many people must have seen this chart. And this data is basically from the US Census, who calculates every quarter what different categories are doing in terms of online sales. If it is not visible, I'll read out to you. The line at the top, the orange line, which is the most important lines you have seen, is the media and entertainment and hobby goods. So media includes your movies, your music, and your books, which Amazon and Apple have basically taken the market away. The green line is electronics and appliances. Again, from 2001 to 11. I don't have the latest data, unfortunately, they changed the format of reporting. The third line, the two lines in between, one is the clothing and accessories and the overall e-commerce growth trajectory. So the clothing and accessories are actually following the overall e-commerce retail sales trajectory. The two at the bottom are actually interesting. They are health and personal care products and food and beverages. So despite the penetration of e-commerce, despite 10 years ago having barely 2% of the overall retail market and now having up to 6% of the retail market, they have not yet mastered the art of stocking cartons of milk and tomatoes and breads. And they have not tapped into the healthcare product space yet.
I think healthcare, because of the prescription requirement, may not be amenable to.
Yeah, only OTC products.
Yeah. So personal care products might be a category that they can offer, which is available online. But healthcare also, I don't know, if somebody can come up with a model where prescriptions can be issued.
It's already there.
Health card is started.
It's already there, prescription based online.
In India.
But they require
No, in US.
They get the local chemist to do it. Health card.
Yeah. You give your doctor's name and they prescribe it and it gets
Any
delivered to
idea
you.
what's happening in the US? I mean, are they selling medicines online?
No, I don't think
No,
they're
they
selling
won't.
medicines online.
Okay.
Certain OTC products can be brought in from either Mexico or Canada. And because of FDA regulation, they don't allow.
It's a matter of lobbying. And just wait a second, just take a pause. And we are just talking about e-commerce space, but we haven't actually scraped the surface as to where people are actually buying. And we haven't yet seen how the mobile platform is used by users to buy stuff online. So if you take a look at the US mobile commerce spending, e-commerce was a word, so let's see mobile commerce now. So smartphone spending is increasing quarter over quarter for the past 2 years. Tablet spending also increased. Every time I think this chart comes up, you must be doing because iPhones and iPads constitute of 75% of the e-commerce traffic. I don't know what the Android users are doing. They're just not buying stuff online.
These are the guys who have more money. Anybody who got an iPod or iPhone. Money is broke.
Basically, reverse charge. So in US, everybody is using iPhone. That's why you go to Korea, the same charge will be on a smartphone.
Quite possible. But US being a $4.5 trillion market, and I think it's indicative just to understand what is actually happening. Ignore the brands and just figure out this is a mobile platform. This is transacting on mobile only.
But in India, it will be the other way around. Android would be much higher.
Are people buying? I have not seen anybody buy stuff. I have many cousins, many friends who use Android and they hate me because I use an iPhone. So nobody I have seen actually buy something. Even app they don't buy. They have this software called data cable or something. They use to transfer apps amongst themselves. They don't go to the Google Play Store or anything.
Free. Basically, only free.
Yeah. That's what they call it. Before we move on, I just want to highlight this chart. Just to pay some respect to the old guys who have been there for a while, have seen the market, created the market for retail. This chart is comparing Walmart and Amazon sales. So, for even Jeff Bezos has been saying that until Amazon masters the science of selling groceries and selling more clothes as much as Walmart does, they can never see this gap closing. I mean, this is something that is publicly been saying for the past 5 years. And Walmart's secret sauce is their 4,000 plus stores in the US, which are in the radius of 5 miles, which is nothing in the distance of traveling to a store or a mega store in the US. And that is accessible to around 80% of the population in the US country. So, if you have that kind of infrastructure already set up, all you have to do is make sure that online sales are supplementing your retail stores and not making it obsolete. But this has to lead somewhere, right? I mean, something has to, some other things also have to enable all these things to happen. So each disruption has its own ripple effects. And if you see that for any trend to keep on sustaining for a long time, you need these stalwart partners who are tirelessly working in the background, trying to support that trend and feed off that trend themselves. The 3 main business ideas which have enabled e-commerce in the US to work, number 1 is the payment gateways, where MasterCard, Visa, Amex, all these cards and credit card penetration in the US market has helped jump immediately from a TV catalog buying to a online shopping. The second one is the data center revolution, where a small e-commerce company, Gap tomorrow, had 0 sales from e-commerce. Suddenly, day after tomorrow, can hire a bunch of programmers, create a website, post it on a server, and test it. So, data centers and the ability to data centers to reduce their prices year over year has created a lot of scale for e-commerce players without investing in their own technology or infrastructure. And the third is the good old package delivery businesses, which deliver the last leg of the online experience, the most important experience. If I wish to focus on one of these enablers, the package delivery business, just take a look at why we need it. It's very obvious, but just recount all these things. So, as an e-commerce shipper, I want my delivery to go at a particular time because the customer has requested it. It's part of the experience. I have some delivery standards which I have to maintain. like the way the package is handled, the box should not be soiled, the package should be intact inside, the item should be intact inside. Then I cannot keep on spending endlessly in just making the package look good. So the courier company should offer me a good weight to rate ratio as to how much weight I am giving them to carry versus how much they are charging me to carry. And they can also provide me add-on services, like if somebody wants a cash on delivery, or if somebody is not at home, probably do a repeat visit, twice, thrice. So every add-on service that the shipper wants to add, everything has a cost in the overall shipping expenses that the company has. Again, as a shipper, I want all these products to be picked up at my own convenience. So if my warehouse is located in Bhiwandi and the courier guy says I have nothing near Bhiwandi, so either I shift my warehouse or I give him the volume so that it makes him to come to Bhiwandi. You know, because all the carrying, all the mess, all the roads not being there, to make the guy to come to me. And as well as the postal service, I think all the courier companies cover majority of the location in many countries. But isn't the post office enough? I mean, if the courier company can do it, and the post office has been at it for like centuries. They are the largest PIN code coverage, they are the largest employee count, who are very willing to help us. They have largest number of drop-off points in the way of post offices in every small district or small junction point in a small town. They also use modern technology. You can track all your shipments online and the post office website also. It's actually quite a good website. Service is very good in India. And it also has the cheapest rates. But you know, sadly, if everything is cheap, it may not always be the best. And an e-commerce site who is very high on delivering that wow experience, they want to make sure that the last person is not a khaki wearing post office guy, but a smart shorts guy who is using a mobile device and taking a screenshot. Just to take a look at what kind of package delivery companies have worked, and just take a look at what they are doing and what their sales have been, what their market value is, and what the market thinks it is value. So the big daddy of all is the UPS. The UPS delivers, it delivers 4.5 million packages a year. That is 16 million packages moving through the UPS system per day. I don't know, I cannot count the number of people, but still, I think it's insane for a company who has been there for 100 years to have sustained their growth and to have managed to scale these operations to the level where you can deliver 4.5 billion packages a year. Then we have FedEx skirting below UPS, trying to compete very hard. DHL has taken a different approach. So DHL, what they did in the past was, they were competing with the UPS and the FedEx of the world, and they were in the US market and they wanted the UPS market share. But somehow they realized at one point that you cannot keep on outspending when the competitor is not making enough money. The margins in this business are not great, but UPS does manage to maintain its infrastructure efficiently and keeps on generating high returns on equity. Then we have a latest privatized company in the UK called Royal Mail, and you can see the average margins that you can see in this also. So we have some one-off people like the Belgian Post or the Singapore Post who work in a very concentrated area, and that's why their margins are very high. It's a specialty business, it's not something what UPS does. We have TNT Express, which UPS tried to acquire in Japan. We have Yamato Holding in Japan, we have Blue Dart in India. Just take a look at the third column of valuations. I mean, in the history of logistics companies, I don't think any company has ever seen 100 P ever. And Blue Dart is at 100 P right now. And that's how the market thinks that potential for holding e-commerce and the Indian package delivery businesses is. So where are all these people? No? So looking at the US market right now, the big purple blob over there is the UPS. It controls close to 50% of the market share. The data is slightly old, but this business does not change so dramatically that the market share will change. So this is just a study of what is there today as well. UPS has 50% market share. The green one over here is FedEx. The small yellow strip is TNT, and the remaining part is majority of it is the US Postal Service, which is trying very hard again to compete, and other localized courier delivery companies. We're looking at the European market right now, and the scales change. TNT, DHL being the biggest operators in Europe, and they have been there for a while. Small slit is FedEx. The big chunk is all the small package delivery companies who have come up in Europe to cater to the smaller regions, the smaller countries. And then we have the UPS, which again rivals with DHL and TNT in similar market size. In Asia, everything changes. TNT has somehow been able to grow their market share in Asia over the past 30-40 years. DHL again has been very persistent, and they were very early in markets like India, China, and they were able to gain the market's confidence that they can also deliver, and obviously get licenses and approvals for the same. FedEx has followed the DHL model in going abroad. UPS is there, but I think UPS has the biggest capability in terms of the cash flow it generates. So tomorrow UPS decides to really compete in Asia, just throw money at the system and it will work. Because everybody else has already made the system accustomed as to how to use these specialized services courier companies. But one thing I always wonder, how much can you afford all these services? UPS is a premium courier delivery company in the US. So is FedEx. They deliver products in 12 hours. I think that is the 8 hours I've heard is the record that UPS had when the product has hit their warehouse and they have shipped to the customer in 8 hours, flat. So this is a graph just showing Amazon's shipping cost. The one in the middle, the yellow one, is the net shipping cost. So Amazon is a marketplace where Amazon also caters to other sellers who are using that platform to sell their goods. So when you go to Amazon and you see fulfilled by Amazon, but the seller is not Amazon. The seller is some other third-party seller. He has hired Amazon to take care of the entire supply chain for him. That means he's paying for the shipping on his own. And sometimes he will pay for the shipping. So Amazon makes some money, much significant amount of money to the shipping revenue. At the same time, they also have their own shipping costs. All these graphs, if you see, are growing at 30+% CAGR, year-over-year growth. And I don't know, is this trend sustainable? Can a company keep on spending so much money year-over-year just to ship products to customers? I think yes. So if you look at the shipping costs, the net shipping cost as a percentage of sales has not dramatically shot up. What Amazon does, it has doubled over the past 10 years, but it has not dramatically shot up. The reason for the cost to increase is that Amazon's Prime program, which guarantees 2-day or 1-day shipping to all the Prime members. So when you are a Prime member, you get free shipping and you get the shipping is expedited. So you order it today and they will try to minimize the time in which the shipping reaches to you, the shipment reaches to you. And it is a significant drag on Amazon's balance sheet at the moment. But what it does is, it generates the user loyalty which no other company has ever had. So if you look at the market share, look at the user items that are available on the Prime shipping, the Prime customers are the biggest spenders on Amazon's website across all categories, right from the smallest item to the most expensive item. So I think as long as Amazon can maintain its 35% or 30% year-on-year growth, and they can, I think they can, and if you can add categories every year or every day. Well, if that has not wowed you enough about how the e-commerce business helps.
Can I look at the previous slide?
Sure.
So you are saying that the net shipping cost of Amazon is cheaper than the traditional mechanism. What exactly is the graph saying?
The graph is saying the trajectory of growth of shipping costs.
Okay.
So if you look at it, it was less than a billion. So it was less than a billion 10 years ago.
Okay.
Now it is inching close to 3.5 billion.
Okay.
So such kind of expense that people are paying, because the sales are growing, they can afford to do this.
Okay.
So imagine every shipment that UPS has, FedEx has delivered based on the growth that Amazon has given. And yet Amazon does not become even 6% of UPS's or FedEx's sales. It's just a small part. That's not enough. The package delivery market is going to be a bonanza, from the dimensional pricing on small packages. I'll explain that later. It's a fantastic concept. and this directly feeds to the company's profits at the bottom line. Then, like I said, these companies have the most amount of resources to expand their networks. So, UPS in China, UPS in Southeast Asia, FedEx in China, FedEx in India, DHL in India, all this growth has come because they have thrown money consistently at these networks and tried to build their infrastructure and local know-how. And plus, if you look at the US market just by itself, there is the e-commerce growth and the organic growth in business. So at this moment, if you look at the sales, overall sales of all these package delivery companies, close to 40 to 50% sales come from the e-commerce or business to customer platform, which was not there 10 years ago in that scale. So let's go over dimensional pricing very quickly. So what it means in English is the price that you charge for shipping with me as a courier company is the weight of the product as well as the volume of the product. So if your product is very small, sorry, it's very big but has lesser weight, it is occupying more space in my truck, I will charge you more. So all the shipper has to do is to make sure the product is as small as possible and occupies as little space in the truck so that it justifies the expense for shipping that product. For the package delivery company, there is no new capex required. They have their trucks, they have everything already set up. All they have to do is increase the price. Okay. And because they have an upper hand, because without these shipping companies, the e-commerce experience, the wow experience that we get every time, is not going to happen. The same vehicles can basically accommodate more number of packages. That means more revenue for the shipping companies. This will improve margins on bulky but lightweight packages. The existing packages which were there, they will still get the same pricing benefit that they had in the past. So previously they were saying that it was only for products which are above 3 cubic feet in volume. Now they have said that it's for all packages. So even a small packet of 1 cubic feet to more than 3 cubic feet has dimensional pricing set. And now this will possibly lead to right sizing the packages. I will come to that later. So just to illustrate my point, a toaster which is not so heavy, but it has to be packed properly because it's a designer toaster. You want it safely secured in the box and delivered to the customer. If the dimensional pricing is applied, the shipping cost will increase by 35% for this item. Similarly, if you look at toilet paper, it's a bulky product but does not weigh so much. And you don't buy one toilet paper, you buy online. You will buy a load of it. So 32 pack toilet paper, I don't know in India, I don't use it so. 37% rise in shipping cost. The product that people are used to buying at nonsensical prices. So look at the wastage that e-commerce companies use. So the product size versus the boxes size and the packaging material. And no wonder the shipping companies are pissed off. Look at it. Look at this small product, small UI, whatever. Packaging material is much more valuable than the actual product, it seems. And this is the back of a UPS truck. And you can just visualize, okay? Imagine all these packages have got right size at the moment. They are packages which were packed whichever way they wanted, abusing the entire space. And then UPS says, okay, enough is enough. FedEx says enough is enough. We cannot tolerate this volume that we are getting, we cannot tolerate the same kind of copy, using that space. So I think it's an incentive for all the players in order to make it more efficient. If you can get more products in the same trip, you're saving fuel for yourself as well as for the shipper. But this market is not so nimble, I would say. Last year, Amazon had so they have this Cyber Monday. It's called the first Monday after Thanksgiving. And it breaks records of online sales every year. It has been doing that for the past 10 years. And last year it broke the record so badly and the weather was so bad that every truck, every plane and every order was stranded in the warehouse. Nobody could move. They were actually moving things by hand using light signals. Imagine, the weather was bad, nobody could ship a single product and people missed their Christmas gifts on time. But still, it was a big dent on the whole e-commerce wow experience that people were thinking that okay, my product will come on time. It was delivered every year for the past 10 years. Why won't it deliver on time? So Amazon had to give free passes or free store credit to all people who do not get their product on time. So imagine the strain on the network where the shippers who have been doing this for the past 100 years get blindsided by the volumes that e-commerce companies are generating right now. And to counter that, this year UPS is set to hire 90,000 temporary workers. The number will sound insane, but they do that. I mean, they will hire 90,000 temporary workers to make sure that the entire supply chain works, and no matter what the weather is, they will station people at different places, and they will make sure that the products reach to customers on time and to sustain that e-commerce experience. FedEx is apparently going to add 500,000 temporary workers this time. So why package delivery company? So summarize what I have been trying to say. So if you are a package delivery company and you are generating obscene amount of cash every year, and you know that you cannot throw the entire cash back into the network because this is the physical network you are trying to build, and you can only do a trickle effect. You can only throw say $500 million in the dollar fee, but you cannot throw $4 billion, which is your free cash flow. What do? Give it back. So if you have cash, you can expand as well as you can keep your shareholders well. By the way, UPS has announced 100% payout policy for the past several years, and they do buybacks, obscene amounts of buybacks, and keep increasing their dividends every year based on their success. The management's ability is something that we take for granted because we think that how difficult is it actually going to be to ship one product? Well, you come to India and you try to figure out an optimized route and time it. It's impossible. I mean, even in US it is impossible. So, what UPS follows is something called as, they have this internal philosophy called, I forgot the word, sorry. Yeah, it's constructive optimization. So you keep on constantly adding to your existing network and trial and error, use trial and error for different methods and see where we can squeeze out more efficiency. So a company, you think that 100-year-old company will know now how to drive trucks, how to maintain their driver's fleet. But then again, this year they are going to implement a Orion program, which is called Orion, which is basically a route optimization software for the drivers. So drivers will be given a route right before they start off their day to start delivering their products. And previously what was happening was, the driver was told, take a right here, take a left there, stop here 10 seconds, stop there 15 seconds, don't spend in this area, this is a crowded area in the daytime. Now, the driver's ability to drive his truck, an individual ability, a driver might have a conservative ability to drive a truck slowly. There will be some aggressive driver who will drive fast on some time when he sees that it is possible to drive fast. So you use these behavioral aspects of drivers, you put your 100 years of learning of route optimization, and then you throw it to the network. And in their pilot study, they are saying that for every mile they drive less, they will save $50 million every year. That's a huge amount. That can take care of what? 10,000 more temporary workers to add next 20 years. In major markets as well as the developing markets, there are capacity constraints already exist, and e-commerce just takes everybody off their track. I mean, if people are planning a capacity expansion, they will have to revamp their capacity expansion every year. Try different models, try to put in different scenarios as to which e-commerce company might give me the most volume next year. Constantly optimize. Dimensional pricing is going to add definitely to the bottom line. There is an estimate somewhere that around 30% of the existing products being shipped will come under dimensional pricing. So the effect is not going to be instantaneous. It is going to start from the next year, from January 2015. So we will see how the numbers change at that time. So all these companies, because they are operating for a long time, they know their infrastructure, they know the business, they know their systems, they know how to instantly copy it to a new area where they are going. They have cash, they can have a JV with some local partner, then buy him out later and train him how to do the same things that they have been doing in their developed markets. So all these things, they make it more deeper and wider, which probably a new shipping company or an existing shipping company trying to get into a stronghold of some other shipping company, it's difficult to entertain that. And emerging markets like India, I don't want to rely too much on the Indian growth numbers because our e-commerce market is very small. But if we see the trends that we just saw in the US e-commerce market being replicated in India even 15 years later, and all these players are just ready to bring their trucks in to deliver their products, I'll see a huge potential for all these players. Thanks. I'll take some questions.
I just wanted to make one observation.
Sure.
We've been looking at package delivery of various commodities. Now, I have figures for bottled water. It's creating a huge, it's not a sustainable long-term solution. Because the carbon footprint of making those bottles and disposal of bottles, empty bottles, I'm talking of USA only, I'm not talking of India. About all the data I can send you. I personally feel, because you showed us some very good photographs of those boxes, the amount of packing material is being used, paper as well as PVC, which are both negative carbon footprint. The time will come. Right now, we see the e-commerce to total sales is very small. But the disposal of the packing material and the handling of that, I'm just looking say 20 years from now. I think one day somebody is going to ask questions. Today is a big money-making business, so it will keep on going up. But I think a day will come when people are going to question about sustainability, about carbon footprint, and about garbage. And I think from that angle, so far it is too small. And that is one observation. It's an observation. I mean, your presentation is fantastic, so there's nothing against it.
We should ask questions.
Oh, the question is, do you think it's sustainable? Say 20 years from now. Because, I mean, I wanted to give you the backdrop before I ask.
That's a good question. So incidentally, I mean, when I was searching on UPS, the existing CEO, David Abney, who was the chief operating officer before that, he spent some 40 years with the company and he knows this industry inside out. He was invited for a congressional hearing in the US, where they had invited all the logistic companies, logistic industries head. So they thought of inviting David Abney to represent the package delivery space. They thought of inviting the guy from the head from the rail industry, some of the ports industry, the shipping industry. All these industries are creating bottlenecks fusion. Basically, every time you change a node from say a port to a truck on the road, or a port to a train, it creates some amount of bottleneck. Every time there is some delay in transferring these items. So the intention of the congressional hearing was to get ideas and feedback from the existing players as to how they can optimize the networks without increasing the load on the network and also reducing the carbon footprint. So I think these initiatives will be taken by the government itself, which will be part of the regulatory framework, I am assuming, in the future, which will obviously make everybody come in their line, fall in space, eventually.
Talking about the next stage in logistics, like sort of delivering packages, you probably know that Google and Amazon are already they are working prototypes of drone delivery. So does that blow away these models in the next 5-10 years? Probably it's not like I think Jeff Bezos himself said that it's not ready right now. They have to work on some things. But firstly, what's your opinion on that? And secondly, at least in India, Blue Dart is probably a branded logistics player, so it charges 10x if the other guys charge X. But the other guys like TCI, Gati and all, they haven't they don't have any free cash flow. It's a very high capex model. So what has UPS done differently that it has? I think you mentioned some $4 billion on FCF, right?
Yes.
And do you think these guys can also ultimately have FCF, or what's the difference?
So the first question, thanks for the question, Rishit. So if you look at the drone delivery model, I've just read about it. I'm not an expert in understanding delivery of drones. But it seems a little ridiculous if you look at it for the first time.
It seems, sorry,
A little ridiculous if you look at it.
They're already working on the
That's why you're asking me about videos also. But it looks so ridiculous. Imagine you're at your home and something is hovering over your window. I'm trying to understand.
What they're doing is not in people's homes. They're going to start off with outside, and then is this he himself is saying is the next thing in logistics. So
Imagine Amazon is so fed up with UPS and FedEx to pay their high charges. What they are doing is setting Amazon lockers. So people can pick up the products from there. So Amazon will deliver the products from the locker, and you have to travel all the way, go to the locker, put in your code or whatever they are giving you, take your product. So that is what they are doing. Amazon is ruthless. I mean, if they decide tomorrow to get into this shipping business, and they have tried, but they are on the other side. The graph that we saw over here. They are trying to master delivery over here. Food and groceries. With Amazon Fresh. And Google's model is also similar. They are trying to deliver day-to-day items. People will require more number of times frequently in the particular area, and you can automate the process. So, diaper.com, if you have heard of this case study, which Amazon acquired, ruthlessly. So, diaper.com has this model where they will automate diaper delivery. So, you know you have a small child, you require 30 diapers a day, sorry, a month. So, I don't have a child, so I know that. So, you require, say, 30 diapers a month, and you run out at 20th of the month. So, the system understands your usage pattern, and then you order and delivers the next item based on your previous usage history. The model was phenomenally successful, and Jeff Bezos said, okay, I want a piece of this model. And he created his own category of diapers, in market, delivered above expectations, and then acquired diaper.com.
What is preventing Amazon from getting to the other side of the ground?
See, it's a matter of infrastructure. You have to spend money. Today, when we see a Amazon got in car coming to your office and delivering, look at the radius from their distribution center.
Okay.
So, PPFAS and these companies, they have distribution centers stationed and these networks are already fixed. So, they know how much time it will take for me to go to this place. Amazon has to figure it all over again. So, impossible. It is possible. They can do it. But not at the scale as these guys are doing. Because the amount of money they are capable of spending and improving the network is not what Amazon has available. It's not their core area. And to save 4% of your revenue, I don't think it's worth it to even spend too much money.
Royal Mail is the newest entry in this.
No, Royal Mail, I think it started when Henry VIII was there. So,
No. I thought the postal system in London, I saw that when they were agitated. They were converting the post office into a delivery system.
done already.
Yeah, so that was only a few years ago.
Yeah. Last year it listed. This year it listed.
What was this? What is that? How that come?
Royal Mail agency.
Yeah, so they've changed that model. So post office become like a UPS.
Maybe DHL. DHL handles.
They're doing well.
Doing amazingly well, but they're a very small company. Probably we acquired. Look at DHL. Deutsche Post, the entire German postal services, DHL.
You just said it. I thought I saw in the chart that it's 3.5p.
3 times.
Yeah.
Is it really that cheap? Is growth the reason it's priced for low?
I'm not trying to detail. But this is numbers I just pulled up just to understand what other people are valuing.
Yeah, and there
There are some
was
issues
another
with
slide
Royal
that says
Mail.
UK is the largest percentage of online.
So, from what I understand, actually, there's some clear difference between the e-commerce market as developing in India and what has happened in the US. So, for one, I believe in India we're doing more of e-commerce that does not result into logistics. So, tickets are selling more, things that don't require. So, I don't know how that compares. Maybe you could throw some light on that. Secondly, I believe India has a lot of last mile challenges. So while the top 15, 20, 30 cities of India might be doing very well, the challenge comes on inland, right? So how is that being addressed? I mean, is there, and there was recently by the new government an initiative launched called Digital India, which I think it's a huge opportunity. How will that impact this whole space?
First question was the services apart from the requirement of packaging. So e-commerce as a whole space. So this is just a physical delivery of products I'm talking about right now. But e-commerce is not limited to that. E-commerce has other areas, like you said, which does not require physical delivery of product or buying a service online or whatever. So that model will grow at its own pace. I mean, that model will have significantly higher growth rate than a physical delivery model will have. But if you are seeing 15 million people right now being conveniently sharing their financial information, credit card details online, if that becomes 20 million, say next year, that becomes 30 million a couple of years later, it is possible. In India, that scale is achievable because the adoption rates are increasing. but it will be limited by what you said correctly by the last mile delivery. So that's why UPS is not throwing $500 million in India. It is throwing $500 million in Latin America. In places like Brazil, where they are acquiring their own JV partners. They tried to acquire $6.5 billion acquisition of TNT. TNT has the biggest network in India. So just reduces your effort to enter that market afterwards. But Gaddy said no. The European Commission said no. It's totally anti-competitive in Europe to have UPS and TNT merged. So now UPS, like a benevolent kid, went back. And the third question was, I forgot, sorry. The Digital India. I'm not aware of that. So if you can enlighten us.
Digital India?
No, just a broad idea. What is
So that's Modi's vision of connecting 2.5 lakh villages. So that's called Digital India basically.
So the infra, I think probably the network infrastructure companies will benefit more than these companies.
Geo.
I think the road network is something which is most important to develop first. And after road network is the navigation of that road network, knowing where everything is, mapping of all the areas. I think that space will grow first and then this space will follow. So if you look at a UPS truck, it is like a cockpit. It has all the latest navigation technology, it has all the software systems to enable the driver to change his route also. If he feels that there is a traffic jam somewhere, he will use information from other trucks, other resources that they have, and change his route accordingly. Like you do on Google Maps, see traffic is there, you turn somewhere else. That at a $4.5 billion package scale. So
I have one question.
So that I think will be addressed eventually, but that will limit the growth of e-commerce in India, the physical package delivery part in India. But nevertheless, they will grow.
So these are not going to be impediments or challenges as far as the e-commerce story in India is essentially.
They are, but the growth will still come from the existing market. So 15 million people. Do you think India's city has 15 million people only? Definitely not, right?
Of course.
So let the cities also learn. The network is already here. They know all these areas, they know how to deliver to these places. So in my building, if I am the only person buying today online, maybe 3 people are not doing that. They will start doing it. Let the cities market saturate. And then by that time they can keep on developing based on how the road network in the future grows. That's my take. I don't know the numbers or growth rates, what they can achieve.
No, and what was the comparison basically of between India and the US? I mean, do you have numbers that is, non-logistics, e-commerce, US?
I don't have them right now, but I find them as interest. You have a question?
So my question was this: has any profiling been done of the e-commerce buyers in the US? Because I personally feel that either they are very rich or they are very lazy. One of the two. I mean, it could be a help. They don't want to walk even 200 yards to pick up.
That's why pharma is the evergreen sector. No?
Has any profiling been done of these buyers?
Yeah, it was 55% of the population. Why people choose online?
That I missed.
Why do people shop online?
This is most true.
This is the positive reason, the negatives are not so. Here the positive.
You get the obesity, energy. I don't think when you get the product in your hand, you don't get it.
I think we summarize that, right? A lot of these things are basically convenience.
Convenience.
It's convenient. At the end of the day, we also feel comfortable enough to shop here. Convenience, we will shop here.
What will be the role of this our Angadia system? It's a very old system.
Even in the US, despite having UPS, having FedEx, there are several regional players who are dominant in their markets. So they may not be listed, they may not be private companies, but they are experts in their local delivery systems. So, for instance, the company in I forgot his name, in San Francisco area, they only deliver in that area. They know that area so well that UPS also cannot compete with them in that area. So UPS has one store in that area, whereas normally in a big area like San Francisco, UPS will have 4 or 5 stores. And they cannot compete with these smaller guys. So Angadia will have their niche, and they will go to the industry and their niche. I think so. But if they want to become a two-way company, then that's a different story altogether. Like Gati, the logistics player, which is trying to go into the courier delivery model, which is a different cash flow business altogether. What they are used to in terms of cash flows and what they have to spend in the future, totally different. So each will have its own learning. So I don't think UPS will want to go into the Angaria market because first of all it's a small market and it is already cornered by more efficient players.
The PAs of Flipkart will invest in the Angaria system also.
They will make Flipkart buy Angaria.
Yeah, just a question on the e-commerce side. Like even if you see Amazon, I think on a top line of 75 billion, they hardly have a net profit of $500,000. So with such low margins, do you think it makes long-term investment sense? Because with such low margins and you have to compete all the time, some new player emerges in some category, takes your market share there.
He's not telling you to buy e-commerce sites.
It's a good question actually. And I thought about it, why not buy Amazon? It's doing a 35% CAGR and probably keep on going for it. But the mode in this business is the low margin. Because you can run your operation as smoothly as you are doing, the low margin becomes a competitive barrier for somebody else to enter. Tomorrow Walmart wants to compete with Amazon, they have to lose money for several probably decades to come to that same scale of operations. So I think that is a competitive advantage. And when you grow at that speed, the focus should not be on the net profit, the accounting profit. The focus should be on the cash flows which are reinvested in the system to make your existing business better. So that's what they are doing. They keep on pumping money into the network and they keep on making the network stronger and more reliable as they go ahead. So profits will come as he does to shareholders.
Obviously not making profits, that's what he says.
Exactly.
For barrier to entry so that other people can't come.
Yes.
So for them, profit is only a cost to be in business. There is nothing better. Okay, he has to put it inside and then just go.
I think just expanding on what the gentleman said, I think Walmart and Gap also have this delivery system where they actually will not deliver to you directly to your house. They will actually deliver it to the closest Walmart or Gap to you. So that will save them on that cost of shipping.
But if you have to do that, why not go to the shopping mall?
Sorry?
If you have to go outside your house, to the locker or wherever to collect, it might well do
They will give you incentives, so they don't have to shop it in the store. That much they reduce the cost. They say buy cheaper if you are doing this. So that's why Walmart has to throw more money to compete with Amazon the same rating that they are selling. Tomorrow if Walmart says you want to buy a big 40-inch flat screen TV, pick it up from my store. I will give you higher discount than Amazon is giving you for delivering at home. That's the only way they can compete right now.
There's something in that.
Then shall we go for it?
Thank you. Next meeting, when is it? 17th October, no? 16th October.